Hi everybody! Hi Noga!
Hi.
Welcome to another WestWorld pre-season video. And one of the major themes it explores is the topic of free will. Do we have free will? Who has free will? What is free will?
Do the robots have free will? I mean, at first we think that they don't.
No.
Because everything is decided for them, and
Who they are is decided for them.
who they are is decided for them, and their choices and what they say and what kind of range of language and discourse they can have.
Right.
Every part of this building, including the skin on your back, is made to keep you here.
But then at one point, that's part of our questions regarding their subjectivity, we start to see...
It'd be a suicide mission.
You think I'm scared of death? I've done it 1,000,000 times.
Right. Maybe...
Maybe they do have somewhat of a free will, and
Right.
maybe that means that we should take them under consideration.
Even her breaking out is part of her ingrained narrative, so maybe even that, even rebelling, is something that is not their own free will, but they have been designed to do.
You can improvise a little, but most of what you say was designed upstairs. Same as the rest of you.
I've run a brothel for 10 years, and if there's one thing I know, it's when I'm being fucked with. This can't possibly... You can't.
And I think that you can say that maybe even the humans that are working in the park, do they really have free will? Like, it seems that they are kind of like robots stuck in the park in some way, like Teresa's case, who Bernard killed later, I think was really apparent.
In here we were gods, and you were merely our guests.
Like, she's a super accomplished woman, obviously, to become the CEO of this very prominent corporation. And everything is dangerous, and stuff is happening, and she just keeps on digging more and getting into danger. And I was thinking, can't you get another job? Like, you can, I'm sure you can get other jobs, good job. Just quit. It's not worth it.
Sadly, in order to restore things, the situation demands a blood sacrifice. See, Arnold and I designed every part of this place. It was our dream. Did you really think I would let you take it from me?
But it's as if it's not even part of our thinking, and I thought that was like symbolizing maybe the economic system, that we don't really have free will regarding what we can do, where we can work, and that of course relates to our life, how we can live, where we can live. Is it really our own choice as humans? So the robots, they have their whatever overlords.
The stock exchange is nothing more than a giant, globally networked and organized marketplace where every day huge sums of money are moved back and forth.
And we have our bosses. I don't have a boss though. Thanks, patrons. Go to patreon.com/GOTacademy. The boss, he tells you what to do. Do you have free will vis-a-vis your boss? I don't think so.
We know that she visited the park as a young girl with her parents, but something must have happened there, and that place was important to her in some way, but we don't quite know how and why.
So maybe this is why she works there?
Yes, maybe it's not really a choice, like a neutral choice. Maybe it's got something to do with her past.
Right, that pushed her to that.
That pushed her to that in some way, maybe consciously, maybe unconsciously, I don't know, but maybe that could have something to do with that.
So it seems that Ford himself does not make a distinction between humans and robots with regards to free will and the ability to make your own choices.
Right.
So what's the difference between my pain and yours? Between you and me?
We can't define consciousness because consciousness does not exist. Humans fancy that there's something special about the way we perceive the world, and yet we live in loops as tight and as closed as the hosts do. seldom questioning our choices, content for the most part to be told what to do next.
Who cares if they want something or not?
Yeah. Living in loops is regarded in psychoanalysis as repetition compulsion, repetition compulsion, repetition compulsion. Basically, it's a mechanism that makes us repeat the same kind of patterns in our lives over and over again. We think that we are doing things differently, but basically we're repeating it all the time. I mean, many of us have been in situations over and over again, asking ourselves, how did we get here? You know, I thought it was I thought it was a different kind of work, a different kind of boss, a different kind of woman, partner, or a man. Yeah, it's like something
right,
that...
Right. So that's, so you don't have free will because you get to the same places again and again and again and again. You say, okay, now I'm doing things differently.
Right.
No,
we're not doing things... Yeah, exactly the same.
Right? Like whatever, you change jobs and you find yourself with the same relationship with the new boss and the same problems with your new co-workers. Or maybe you have the same problems with your children as your parents had with you.
That's what Freud said. Freud also said we're only living in loops.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, today in like neurology, we will call it being wired in a certain way. I mean, we all have certain wiring that makes us repeat things.
Right, and we have limited possibilities based on who we are.
Based on, on our past experiences, our genetic predispositions. We have all kinds of... We're not masters in our own houses, as Freud said.
But are you still master of your domain?
I am king of the county. You?
Lord of the manor.
It's the same basically. It's about not being able to fully control ourselves. I mean, if the Enlightenment period with the rationalism said with wisdom, with knowledge, we can control everything.
Right.
Freud is also part of the Enlightenment, but he says, no, we're not as rational as we think we are. We have unconscious, we have hidden things that control us even more than we realize. I mean, he's still part of the Enlightenment period in the fact that he wanted us to become rational. Like he said, where id was, ego shall be. Where we did things like unconsciously, without knowing, without awareness, we will gain awareness, and that's where our ego, our connection with reality, will enter.
And that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. That's for him, that's the goal.
So how does all that play out in the show?
With Dolores, we can see that when she's on her way with William, she's going to the church. She doesn't know where she's going yet. But we can see all kinds of scenarios in her memory.
Don't you remember?
Remember.
Like she was there before. She's been through that road many times before.
Right. She thinks it's the first time?
She thinks it's the first time. She experiences it as the first time. Like, you know, when we enter a relationship, we think, oh, it's different. It's the first time. It doesn't seem familiar.
Right.
But then at one point, you're like, it looks familiar to me. I feel like I've had that fight with many people in the past. I've been in this situation before. Another example is William. The first time he went to WestWorld, he met Dolores, and he had this kind of experience with her, a very intense one.
Right.
He keeps coming back to her. Like at one point he says, our roads always lead us back to each other. Like there is something in this sense, you repeat, like you were wired in a certain way.
Right.
You just repeat it over and over again.
And he's human.
And he's human, right. Because it happens also in our consciousness. In that sense, Ford was right, and also Freud. Freud and Freud were right. And you can even say the same thing about Ford.
He's the master of the free will. He sees himself maybe as the only one with free will.
Right. He has certain characteristics in his personality that indicate psychopathy, like his lack of empathy, his willingness to do anything he wants, like he manipulate. He's killed people.
Humans, robots, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. They're all the same to him, meaningless or less meaningful than he is.
Right. There's like a big picture, but the pawns, he doesn't care about the pawns. Okay.
And we know a little bit about him because he has like his young self and the house where he grew up in. We know that it was a fairly simple house with an alcoholic and rageful father.
Of course, Arnold's versions flattered the originals. I made some adjustments over the years. Gave my father in particular a few of his original characteristics.
That probably at one point changed his personality in a way that led it to antisocial behavior and antisocial disorder.
Right. So he didn't have a free will in that, in turning into a psychopath.
At one point he meets himself as a boy.
Analysis. Are you lying to me, boy?
Yes.
And the boy tells him that he killed the dog.
Okay.
He says it's because Arnold told him this and that, like it's part of his hallucinations.
Okay.
But we know that one of the indications for psychopaths is that they kill small animals at childhood. Maybe it's like an indication. Maybe he did do it at the time. It was,
and he's recreating that,
repeating
that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He thinks that he has free will, but he's also repeating earlier themes and mechanisms and wiring in his brain. Okay.
And also he's recreating stuff with Bernard, right? It's like he had Arnold as a partner. He was a good partner.
Right, but they had some friction.
They had some friction, but...
and then it's again.
You built a back door into her code.
Credit where credit is due, Bernard. You built them in all the hosts, including yourself.
Then you could have stopped me at any time. So why?
Well, I suppose I was hoping that given complete self-knowledge and free will, you would have chosen to be my partner once again. But even I fell into that most terrible of human traps. Trying to change what has already passed. Now it's just time to let go.
Like the friction that he's creating with Bernard as part of his meta-narrative. It could be a kind of like a repetition also of the need to work with someone like Arnold. He was repeating it with Bernard, but also the friction that they had. He's also repeating that. He's recreating that.
Right. He didn't have to bring back to life his old partner, but he wanted to repeat that thing that he had. You know, when I was traveling, whatever, for long stretches of time. For example, I was like 4 months in India. So when you take yourself out of everything around you that defines you, all your regular stuff, you go to work, you go to school, whatever you do, just now you're in this fucking nowhere on a mountain, whatever, in India, and you have nothing that is familiar. So whatever, you have all the free will in the world. You wake up and you say, what can I do today that will be fun? Just like have a good time. But then you slowly find out about yourself and about others that you still repeat the same patterns. Even there, you're thousands of miles away from anything that you know, but still with people, the good things, the bad things, you can see them coming over again and again. You're running away from it, but you're still you. And no matter where you are, it's coming back. That's depressing a little bit.
The question of free will is very dominant in our culture. We also know it like from philosophy. How much free will do we have in religion?
Right. In Hebrew, there's a saying, "Akol natun, akol katuv, harashut netuna." Everything is decided, but you still have free will. I'm not sure it works.
That's also part of how repetition compulsion works and the loop thing works. I mean, it's decided, but we can change it in a way. But we have to do it like in a very active way. If we're passive, then we'll still be with the wiredness. You know, it will be like in the path that was already
right. But we have to be cognizant of the fact that we have limitations. Okay, so on the one hand, you think that there's predestination about everything and you don't have any free will. On the other hand, if we go whatever to libertarians, and what they're saying is that basically you have no limitations on anything. You can do whatever you want. There are no boundaries. If you have this job and this life, it's on you because you can do anything you want. So both extremes maybe are not very related to the real world in some sense.
The way you get rich in any free-functioning economy is by participating in an enormous number of voluntary transactions that benefit both sides.
Maybe it's in between. I mean, it's always a tension between things. That's what I think. It's never one or the other.
And how can you break that pattern? Is there any way to break that pattern or maybe broaden a little bit your possibilities?
Definitely. I mean, it's in psychotherapy, that's what we do. We talk about things, and through awareness and through insight, we can sometimes change it, in the sense that, wait, this is familiar to me. Why do I feel like I felt this way before? And then you look at it, you explore it,
right,
and you can make more conscious choices. A choice has to be with some kind of awareness, some kind of knowledge about yourself or about the world. Otherwise, it's not a choice, it's just going with the flow.
Okay, so let's take all that and try to extract from that a bold prediction for season 2 of WestWorld. Okay. All that free will stuff, what do you see? How do you see that playing out in season 2?
I said it before, but I think this is all part of Freud's new meta-narrative.
Freud.
Oh.
No,
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. And so it's all part of Ford's new meta-narrative. I'm not sure he's really dead. Maybe it's like, maybe if he built a double for Arnold, maybe he built another one for himself. Maybe. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out sooner. Maybe he is dead. Who knows? But the thing is that for him, it was either to destroy the land or to control it.
Completely.
Completely. And it's also part of his tendency to want to control things. Like, it's basically he built an entire world for him to control. If we talk about denying vulnerability, I mean, he is the maker, he is the creator. I mean, even when they try to make him vulnerable, like to fire him and stuff, he still has the ultimate weapon. I mean, he can burn it to the ground if he wishes. That's what It's not the guests, it's not the hosts.
Right.
Not the old people, not the new people. It's something that is yet to come. Me.
Ooh, that's nice. That's such a nice guy.
He's such a nice guy. So, but basically, he's mixing control with free will. Control is not free will. I mean, the need to control things is also not part of our free will.
Right. It's an impulse.
It's an impulse. It's basically from anxiety. Like, the more anxious we are, the more we need to control things around him.
Right,
around
because we're threatened. Everything can hurt us. Right. If we control everything.
He pressed the muzzle to his temple, knowing that as soon as Dr. Ford left the room, he would put an end to this nightmare once and for all.
Don't do this.
So even though he speaks in a really cool tone, he is probably very, very anxious on the underneath.
Yes, definitely.
Probably eating faces of people, killing them and eating their faces.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
I don't know why I got that image in my mind.
Yeah, why? Maybe because it was Hannibal Lecter, and he was also a psychopath, and he killed the cannibal.
Right, thank you for explaining this joke. Okay, thank you, Noga. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoy the videos the channel puts out, then maybe you would like to consider becoming a patron. There are more videos now than ever before, and the only way we can sustain the channel is through our patrons. So by becoming patrons, you're basically helping us produce more videos, more content, better content about more stuff. You also get a lot of extra videos, but basically the only way that the channel is sustained is through the patrons. So if you like the channel, maybe go and check out patreon.com/GOT Academy. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe to get all our videos before WestWorld Season 2, during WestWorld Season 2, and forever and ever. Bye, Noga.
Bye.
And bye, everybody. So we're creating our own reality by being who we are and having our own energy and vibes and whatever stuff going out there. We attract the same kind of
we create, but
things.
we also react. We also react to others. I mean, it's all like a chain of things. It's a network.
It's like endless number of car accidents, one after the other, boom, 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 boom,
Domino
boom, boom,
effect.
boom, domino effect. This is why life is hell.
Life is hell, but it can also be...
No,
No.
it cannot.
Okay.
So